Hey everybody, Rob here. It's time for a new Choosing Beggars story. Story about an entitled person and a Christmas pageant. Let's jump right in. Hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. First things first, there are a few things I could have done differently here that I can assure you I take into account now. Everybody slips up once in a while. We'll get to that. This is kind of an interesting story I thought I'd share with people that is sort of a cross between an exposure story and an entitlement story. Being that the subject of this is music oriented, there may be a few terms people are unaware of. I'll try my best to explain them. I also ramble a bit. Oh well, enjoy, I hope. I'm a musician and also a copyist or orchestrator. Copyists are people who take your handwritten scribbled music, put it into a computer program, and make the nice pretty sheet music that everybody uses. It's a little more involved than that, but that's the basic gist. Some work for bigger publishing companies, some are more freelance based like me. So about a year and a half ago, a music director I had worked with in the past contacts me and tells me he has 4 pieces of music that he would like me to clean. He explained that the person that engraved them, putting the handwritten music into the computer, before did a terrible job. Wrong rhythms, bad spacing, all around hard to read. They were 4 choir pieces, 4 voice parts and piano, although 2 of them were lacking a piano part, more on this later, for some supposed Christmas pageant. I don't really care what the subject of the music is, but this seemed to be a pretty easy, straightforward job. Cleaning a score is usually easy money, since it takes little work if you know what you're doing. Now, this person who I'll call Jim, he's a character. I had a sort of kind of hate relationship with him from working with him in the past. He was difficult to work with and often encompassed all of the things people dislike in a music director. Rude, arrogant, disorganized, inconsistent, didn't read music well, threw his bandmates under the bus when he was called out by production for his mistakes. But given the circumstances I was in and how much we knew each other already, I really needed the money. So I offered him a flat rate of $140 at $35 a chart. He agreed and sent the charts over, which were quite messy as described. I got to work cleaning his scores and by the end of the next day or so was finished. Like I thought, very easy work, and I had totally redone the scores with my own in-house templates in order to make them a bit more print ready and readable. So I email him and tell him his scores are done and attach them for him to look over. That was my first mistake and one that I definitely do not make anymore. You could say a very stupid mistake, but I gave somebody I had a long prior working relationship the benefit of the doubt. But now I always add a watermark to drafts for people to look over, regardless of how well they know me. It's nothing personal, it's because of stories like these. Great, thanks, Jim says. Can you add a piano part to those 2 that don't have one? Uh-oh, I think. Now, there's a lot of variables here, and it's almost intentionally vague. Do I make up my own piano part? Does he want me to add a piano part that he wrote? Lots of questions. Regardless, this wasn't originally part of the deal and would probably be more work than the initial project. So I tell him, we can discuss that, but first I'll need to be paid for the work I already did. This might seem a little cold to some, but let me describe it like this. You go to have your oil changed, pop out, and when you come back you say thanks, but I'd like you to paint my car too. I'll come back and pay you for everything later when you're done. Yeah, no. So Jim responds like a robot by saying, here's an audio file with the piano part on it. Can you add that? Thanks. Attached is an audio file with long gaps between the songs, and it sounds as if it were recorded on a phonograph under the ocean in 1920. Yet again I reiterate myself and tell him that transcription, writing down the sheet music from an audio file with no prior music written for it, wasn't initially discussed, and it would be a higher rate added on top. And that is true. Transcription work is very, very time consuming, even if you are adept at it. So Jim disappears for a day or 2. So I reach out to email him to sternly remind him that he needs to pay me before we can even begin to discuss altering the files and adding transcription onto everything. How many files did I have you do again? 3, Jim asks. What, was I born yesterday? No, 4, I said. You know, the 4 files that are attached in this email chain that we are reading, that you can see with your own eyeballs? Sorry, I forgot. Laugh out loud. Jim laughs. Haha, Jim disappears again for a few days. After emailing him again, Jim drops the transcription ordeal on his own accord and says, "So an even $100, right?" After correcting him, Jim goes silent. Now, this was an off-the-book thing with someone, but I realize that I probably could have been way more proactive, or maybe since we didn't sign an agreement or anything, you could say, "Me, I'm screwed, and it's my fault." I get that. It's more that this was acquaintance that I had known for years, and like I said, I foolishly gave him the benefit of the doubt. Also, it made for an interesting story. So about 2 months later, ironically on my birthday, Jim surprises me, lucky me, by paying me $100 on Facebook Messenger. At this point, I wasn't quite as worried with money, and I knew this guy was going to continually jerk my chain, so I just let it go. I guess strike 3 for me, but at this point I said, "F it." So I wrote, "Thanks, I guess." I always stick by my word, Jim writes. Oh, okay. How are some people like this? Fast forward about 6 months, and guess who has the absolute audacity to contact me again? Yeah, this time he says something along, "Hey, those charts I had you do were for a Christmas pageant I'm writing. I attached a file for you. Could you transcribe the entire file?" Just for shits and giggles, I opened the file. It's 90 minutes. 90 minutes! To put this in perspective, a 5-minute audio recording could take a few hours, a few days, even over a week to transcribe given the complexity. But 90 minutes is crazy. It's not unheard of, but it's an extremely huge amount of work that would take ages. Something you wouldn't willy-nilly ask of someone. This would probably be a sit-down sort of thing. Now, I have no intention of working with this person, but just for my own morbid curiosity, I ask him, 90 minutes? Do you know how long that will take? When would you even need this by? 2 weeks, Jim responds. Maybe that's possible with a team of transcribers, but I don't know if that's even really possible by myself unless I worked tirelessly day in and day out. I'll also need you to write an overture, entr'acte, exit music, scene change music, and then orchestrate and write band parts for everyone, and make sheet music for all of that. So basically, write and engrave an entire musical in 2 weeks. Loony. This is a ludicrous amount of work that would take months, normally covered by a large group of people. Okay, I'll need $16,000, I say. Probably highballing for what the production will actually be, but not far off at all from other projects. I don't have that, but I'll pay $600, Jim says. Now, I'm just kind of amused by this. $600 won't even cover the transcription, I said. Well, I'm paying for this out of pocket, Jim says. I really need this done in 2 weeks. Okay, that'll be $16,000. Look, I really need this done, Jim says. I'm paying out of pocket. Well, I can't help you there. I really need this work done. Nobody is funding it but me. Okay, great. I don't owe you anything. Actually, so he basically wanted me to write an entire musical that he could slap his name on in 2 weeks. It's almost like if somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I have a circus I'm putting together, Jim's Circus. I have the tent already, but I'm going to need you to come up with the animals, performers, and everything else by tomorrow. I'm also going to need you to find an investor so we can pay everyone's salaries. I'll pay you in coupons to the snack bar. I really need this done." So after a little more interesting back and forth, I more or less politely tell Jim he's shit out of luck, and honestly insulting, and should really be careful about the way he goes about framing things in the future, because bigger groups of people or those with a more professional clientele would effectively blacklist him for this kind of behavior. Jim pulls the whole, "We work together, I got you started" spiel. I told him good luck on his Christmas pageant. As was mentioned in the comments, I was waiting for the moment that OP would cave in and do the work for a reduced price. I was really happy to see that OP didn't give in, and I really enjoyed their circus analogy. This KCC video has been sponsored by Canadian Rob's Workshop. Oh, wait, yeah, that's my other channel. So, guys, go take a look at CanadianRob.com, where I'm posting up all of the acrylic, resin, and wooden pens that I'm making in my workshop. Yes, the prices are a little bit high, and no, I won't discount them, so you can just not ask. Okay, Karen? I want to thank OP for posting their story to the ChoosingBeggars subreddit. You can visit them at the link in the description below. Please go there and give them an upvote. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with your friends. And we'll see you in the next one.